Good evening, councilors. I call to order the regular City Council meeting of Thursday, November 14th. Public participation to this meeting is provided in person and remotely via Zoom in accordance with Mass General Law. The Zoom link can be found on the city website. This meeting is also being televised by Peabody TV and recorded by the City Council stenographer. Please join me in a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilors, you heard the motion from Councilor Gamache. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. If there are no objections this evening, I would take a motion under suspension of the rules to take 7C out of order.
So moved.
Councilors, you heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. 7C is various appointments. I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Mayor.
Great. Thank you, Council President. Good evening to you. Good evening, councilors. Glad to be with you. Hope everybody's doing well. Very happy to bring forward three excellent additions to the City of Peabody for new positions that I'm going to be bringing forward and introducing you to. We interviewed for each of the three positions, that being the cemetery superintendent, the facilities director, and then the assistant facilities director. We had an excellent group of candidates for each position. I was very happy with the amount of interest we got in each position and with the quality of the candidates that we brought forward. There were a number of interviews that were conducted for each of the three positions, and I wanted to thank our HR director, Beth O'Donnell, and her team, Chris Ryder, Will Paulitz, Mike Gingras, Sharon Cameron, Jim Hafey, all helped along during the interview process along the way on each of the three. I wanted to first begin with our cemetery superintendent, Connor Morgan. As you can see from his resume that I submitted, he has an excellent background, educational history, and diverse experience. He has a bachelor's degree from the National College of Ireland in landscape horticulture and landscape architecture. He's a Mass certified arborist and the Massachusetts tree warden. For the past 2 years, he has worked for the City of Salem as the general foreman of cemetery and tree division. And he has a real passion for his work, and I think he's going to do a terrific job for us. He is here tonight, happy to say a few words, but really excited to bring forward Connor as our new cemetery superintendent. There's a lot that's going to be taking place over in the cemetery, a lot of opportunities, a lot of potential projects we're looking at, and I think Connor will do a great job leading that department, and wanted to bring him forward, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Morgan, if you wanted to just approach and introduce yourself, just state your address for the record, please.
State my address?
It's your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Connor Morgan, and I live at 6 John Wise Avenue, Essex, Massachusetts. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Thank you very much for this opportunity. So far, the crew up in Cedar Grove seems great, and I look forward to serving the people of Peabody. Thank you.
Do any councilors have any questions? Seeing none, I would say I think running the cemetery would be a lot easier than being the tree warden.
Quality customers.
Yes. At this time, I'll take a motion, unless the council wishes to.
Are we going to, if I may,
do them all together?
do you want to do them all together, or you want to do them separately?
Maybe we could do Connor first,
Okay.
and then the two in the facilities department we can do together.
Yes, at this time, if I may, Madam President,
Thank you, Councilor
move
Gamache.
approval of Connor Morgan, 6 John Wise Ave, Essex, Mass., to the position of cemetery superintendent, term to expire 12/31/25. So moved.
Councilors, you heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilors Turco,
Yes.
Rozignol,
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
Gamache. McGinn.
Yes.
Daigle. Higgins.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, thank you. Next, wanted to bring forward our new facilities director and assistant facilities director. And first, we're going to start with our facilities director that I'm bringing forward today. His name is Jim Politano. He has a very impressive resume with over 32 years of experience in construction and management roles, with experience both in the private sector, and also in the public sector working for some cities and towns. Jim worked 5 years for the Melrose as a Melrose Facilities Division foreman before going over to the town of Wenham, where he was for 3 years the director of facilities over there. And for the past 6 years, or over 5 years, he's been the director of facilities at North Shore Community College, overseeing multiple campuses, large number of buildings, and significant work that's been taking place over at North Shore Community College. Again, somebody who I think will be able to hit the ground running for us with his experience and understanding of construction and management, and I think he's going to be an excellent addition to the city of Peabody. And he is here tonight also. And with him, I wanted to introduce the city's first Assistant Director of Facilities, and I wanted to thank you for that support in bringing forward this position to help with the Facilities Department. It's very much needed, and I think this is going to be a real shot in the arm for that department and really bring us to that next level. And I think Rob is going to be a great candidate for that. He has a diverse background and a very well-rounded resume as a restaurant manager and a general manager over at Brooksby Village for a number of years. And for the past 5 years, he has been the facilities director at Northeast Senior Health Center in Beverly. He is a Peabody resident, and I was very impressed with his wide range of skills that will work very well for the city of Peabody in this important role where communication is going to be key in so many other aspects. And I think when we were really working on developing this role and figuring out what needed to be done to really help elevate that department, Rob really checks off those boxes and what he brings to the table. And I really feel we have a good pair with Jim and Rob to help with that department. And very happy to bring both of them forward. And again, they're both here, Council President, and I can turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Politano, if you wanted to just introduce yourself with your name and address for the record, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. James Politano, 122 Willow Road, Boxford, Mass. And I just want to say I look forward to working with all of you guys. Really excited to be coming on board with my new assistant director. And like Tom said, I can't wait to hit the ground running. So thank you, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you. Do any councilors have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll turn it over to Mr. Harris, if you want to introduce yourself as well.
Hello, my name's Robert Harris, 14 South Shore Ave, Peabody, Mass. And I look forward to actually learning from Jim. Jim's got a big background in facilities and construction, so something that I've always wanted to keep learning, which I've done the last 5 years. So I got a lot of, as the mayor was saying, a lot of leadership background. Brooksby Village was definitely a learning experience there. I had over 100 people under me. 80 of them were between 15 and 18 years old. So if you can imagine, if you have kids at home in the teenage years, trying to manage that is quite a task. But yeah, I'm excited. So I've already started on Tuesday. I was telling the mayor I hit 10 schools in one day. So I met all the custodians. They were excited to see me. And yeah, if anyone has anything, I'm good.
Thank you. Do any councilors have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I've known Mr. Harris, Robbie Harris, for, I think I met you in 2008 when you were at Chili's in Danvers. And I'm very happy to support this Ward 3 resident. With that, I'll turn it over to Councilor Gamache.
Yes, thank you. At this time, I move approval on James Politano, 122 Willow Road, Boxford, Mass, as position of Facilities Director, term to expire 12/31/2025, and Robert Harris, 14 South Shore Ave, Assistant Facilities Director, term to expire 12/31/2025. So moved.
Councilors, you heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilors Turco,
Yes.
Rozignol,
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Congratulations.
Okay. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilors, moving on to our hearings. We have one hearing on the agenda this evening. It's a petition from PMLP for 2 poll locations. The clerk will read the notice.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, November 14th, 2024, at 7:30 p.m. in the Frank L. Wigan Auditorium, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass., and remotely via Zoom on the following petitions submitted by the Peabody Municipal Light Plant, 201 Warren Street Extension, Peabody, Mass. Petition 24-179, locate a new pole in the vicinity of 28 Central Street. Petition 24-181, locate a new pole in the vicinity of 14 Hamilton Road. For remote participation using Zoom platform, please visit www.peabody-ma.gov. Under Calendar on the homepage, or contact the City Clerk's office. Peabody City Council, Councilor Stephanie R. Peach, City Council President.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Could the petitioner just introduce yourself and state your address for the record and tell us what you're here to do?
Good evening. James Gomes, 201 Warren Street Extension, Peabody Municipal Light Plant. And here for requesting permission to install a utility pole on Central Street, approximately 27 feet from pole 2, and that is in front of 28 Central Street, which is the Verizon building.
Thank you. Could you just touch on the other pole location as well, and then we'll look for public comment before we turn it over to the council?
So the other pole location, there's going to be another engineer to speak to that, because we had it broken out by project.
Okay, could the engineer for the Hamilton Road, could you just approach the podium and introduce yourself with your address for the record and tell us about that pole location?
Hi, my name is Hussein Kareem, representing the Peabody Municipal Light Plant. My address is 2 Cincinos Drive, Peabody, Mass. And I'm here to represent Peabody Light, and I'm here to ask for a pole petition at 14 Hamilton Road. Currently, how the service is being fed at 14 Hamilton Road, it'll come off of what is shown as pole 9 in the drawing. And how it works now, pole 9, you have an electric wire that goes to a tree on the homeowner's property, and it hits the service for the building. What we would like to do is install a pole in front of 14 Hamilton Road, get that service wire off the tree, and get them onto the new pole so then we can feed that house. The plan was made while talking to the homeowner, 14 Hamilton Road, so they are completely aware of it. They want to have the pole out there and get those wires off the tree. As it is now, there's wires on the tree, one of the trees for the electric light plant, and one of the other trees on the property has Verizon and Comcast also attached to it. So the plan is to get all 3 attachers onto a new proposed pole in front of 14 Hamilton Road, so the homeowner can do whatever they want to do with the trees. So here today to ask for a pole petition for 14 Hamilton Road, and it'll be called pole 9-1.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone from the public who'd like to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone on Zoom? Anyone here who would like to speak in opposition? Anyone on Zoom? Seeing none, Councilor Higgins.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to accept this request. In the area, it's definitely warranted. I think the homeowner deserves to have those lines off of his trees that are on his property. So I'm in support of this. I'd like to make a motion to accept it and approve it.
Thank you, Councilor. So just as this was presented as one hearing, but it's two petitions, we can take this as a single vote. I have no questions or issues with the Central Street, but if Councilor McGinn, if you have anything.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, the pole, the other pole is going to service Ward 3, but it's actually located in Ward 2. So I have been in touch with Mr. Gomes about this, and honestly, I don't love it. We're kind of jamming a pole in an irregular spacing, but he has convinced me that it's necessary to get it done. This is ground zero currently for the Central Street construction project, and there's just a massive amount of construction going on at this very location right now. So Mr. Gomes has indicated to me that the earliest this would probably be set would be the early fall of 2025. So we're out in time, and he's well aware of what's going on with the construction there and has that factored into the planning. So with the assurances of Mr. Gomes, I'm supportive of the application. Thank you.
Are there any other counselors with questions or comments? Seeing none, this is difficult because it's 2 wards. I'll take a motion to close the public hearing, and then who'd ever like to make the motion to
So moved.
So the motion on the floor is to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Higgins, if you'd want to make the motion on the petitions. Both petitions would be great.
Sure.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion, to accept and approve petition 24-179 to locate a new pole in the vicinity of 28 Central Street, and also petition 24-181 to locate a new pole in the vicinity of 14 Hamilton Road. So moved.
Councilors, you heard the motion. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilors Turco,
Yes.
Rozignol,
Yes.
Welton,
Yes.
Melville,
Yes.
Gamache,
Yes.
McGinn,
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Peach. Motion carries 9-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for your time.
Councilors, moving on to reports of committee. Industrial and Community Development Committee, Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Madam President. The Industrial and Community Development Committee met earlier this evening. Present for the committee were myself, sitting in as chair for Councilor Gould, Councilor Daigle, Councilor Welton, Councilor Gamache, sitting in for Councilor Manning Martin, and Councilor Melville taking that final spot. We had one item on the agenda, which was the Section 3A zoning amendment, MBTA Communities Act. The committee last met on this on October 10th, and the purpose of this meeting was to receive an update from Mr. Bellavance from Community Development, and he reviewed his submission, which was item 8B, there was a motion to receive item 8B, which passed unanimously. I now make that motion to the full council.
Councilors, you heard the motion to receive 8B. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? To vote, Councilor McGinn.
There was also a working in concert with item 8B was a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation from Mr. Bellavance, which the committee also received, and I would like to be received by the full council. So moved.
Councilors, you heard the motion to receive the PowerPoint presentation presented to committee. We'll call that late 1. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Bellavance went through his presentation, which kind of articulated the changes that have taken place from the initial proposal that was put before the council in October. And in large part, it had to do with the changes in going from a single district on Dearborn Road to a sub-district approach where it would be broken between Dearborn Road and a number of other parcels were considered, but ultimately the recommended parcel was the Brooksby Village property. And Mr. Belvance explained the various aspects of modeling that needed to take place to consider these various parcels and what led to their recommendation. He also indicated and provided a list of a number of grants that he felt would be at risk if the council should fail to act on this by the deadline. That was also supported by a brief presentation from the mayor, who indicated that he thinks this is a demand from the state that has to be met, and he also articulated his support for the option 4 proposal that was put forward by Mr. Bellavance. He was also indicated his concern that he has for putting grant money at risk. Councilor Melville asked for some specificity around the deadlines, and it was reinforced that to be in full compliance, Peabody would need to act on this and have closure on it by December 31st of this year, 2024. And we discussed with the clerk what that would require in terms of mechanics of drafting and advertising and so forth to make that happen. It was also mentioned that there would be a planning board meeting on the 5th of December so that that could work and help facilitate meeting the end of the year deadline. A number of councilors expressed their gratitude to Mr. Bellavance and his department and working with the consultant RKG to get this a better, more workable product before us for consideration. Councilor Daigle wanted to be certain that property owners would be notified of any potential zoning change, and Mr. Bellavance indicated that that would happen. Councilor Welton kind of dug in on the differences between the initial proposal, which held the potential of an additional 1,700 units plus of units developable, down to the updated proposal, which brings that number down dramatically, down to 138 units. It also was confirmed that there couldn't be any restrictions put on this, age restrictions or otherwise. Councilor Rossignol reiterated his uneasiness with this entire process and with the how the state mandate and the fairness of that, and indicated that given the way this has played out, both in Peabody, and he presented a number of examples of things that are happening out of the communities, that he would not support it, and spelled out his rationale for his principled stand on that position. There were a number of questions about the affordability provision that Councilor Turco had asked that were addressed, and he also indicated his support for option 4, which was put forward. There were a number of edits that were discussed either in the PowerPoint presentation or Mr. Bellavance indicated that he had been in touch with a number of councilors since the last meeting, myself being one of them. We reviewed all of those proposed language changes. I'm not going to go through them individually, but we collectively discussed each one of those so that that would be vetted by the full committee, and collectively voted on those edits to the proposal, to the option 4 proposal. And there was a motion made by Councilor Melville to accept the edits discussed during the meeting and to refer to the resulting document as the as-modified version of the document. That motion was unanimous in the subcommittee, and I now make that same motion for consideration of the full council, Madam President.
Councilors, you heard the motion on the as modified. Any discussion? Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you. I'll be relatively brief. This committee years ago took agonizing discussions drawing out zoning, and the fact that this ridiculous mandate from the state modifies that and adds up to 5 stories of units is completely, to me, an atrocity. And the fact that they're withholding funds to hold that carrot over each city and town is kind of ridiculous. So they're, in their infinite wisdom, public safety takes a back seat to building housing. And I think that's just completely deplorable and wrong. If they did not withhold funding, I would guarantee that this would fail probably 11-0. But the fact that they're withholding millions of dollars in public safety, whether it's Middleton and the highway modifications for public safety, or Milton because they need a seawall so that homes and residents don't get flooded. They're withholding funds that directly impact residents unless you build a 4-story / 5-story housing complex. I would almost understand this, almost, if it were for senior housing, if it were for veterans housing, if it was for low-income housing. I could understand their push and their need for modified housing. But just to, with one blank brush, all the way up the East Coast, whether you have an MBTA community or not, whether you, just because you're adjacent to, in our case, an MBTA community, you have to build these. You have to say you will build these at the very least. Otherwise, you're not entitled, and I use that term loosely, public safety funds. The whole process to me is ridiculous and wrong, and I just can't support this. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Any other councilors on the motion? Councilor Higgins?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I completely understand Councilor Rosignol's feelings, and I feel very similarly listening to this council for years before I got on it, talking about developments going up in Peabody, talking about the traffic that we're enduring. Route 1 is becoming more of a parking lot, and to think that Peabody is faced with adding more housing. I mean, haven't we done enough? The city has provided a lot of housing. And to be forced into this situation seems like an overreach by the state to do this to us. However, having said all that, and it's been said in subcommittee, I think it was a magnificent job done by Mr. Bellavance to present the way he did. The option 4, which was put before us, to see the number of units that we were facing before he modified it from the last meeting, to go from 1,700 units to perhaps 138 units, going from, let me see if I get this right, 45 units per acre, as Councilor McGinn had said, down to 20. All I have to say about that work is, wow, fantastic. That's all. It's incredible how much work they put into that. Considering the money that's at stake, a lot of other communities have been mentioned and how they're fighting this, and they don't have skin in the game like we do. We have millions at stake here. There's a lot of grant money. It does feel like we're being held hostage by this thing, but given the circumstances, the timeliness of where we have to make a decision pretty soon, I think that this plan that was put forward is a great compromise and great work by that team that Mr. Bellavance heads up. So I will be in support of this due to the long-term benefit to Peabody for the grant money that we can't afford to jeopardize. However, I do feel terrible that we're talking again about adding new units to Peabody. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Welton. Just to clarify, the motion on the floor is just to accept, not to accept even, it's just the modified version, correct, Councilor McGinn? To refer to the new document as the modified version.
That's correct.
Thank you, and I will definitely be supporting that amendment to refer to the document as a modified document. However, I would like my 2 minutes also, Council President, just to briefly say that I understand how passionate Councilor Rosendahl is. I think we're all in the same boat, and I want to reaffirm that I agree the way that this has been rolled out hasn't been helpful, and just underscore that we have populations right here in this community that could benefit tremendously from increased housing, whether it be individuals with disabilities, returning veterans, or low-income need for low-income housing. However, this legislation doesn't address that. It's all market rate, with the exception of 10%, which really is kind of laughable when you look at how many units are going to be going up that are market rate, that are going to squeeze out the populations that cannot afford them in our own community here. So again, I'll be supporting this amendment to refer as the adapted version, but I'll also be supporting this amendment begrudgingly because I understand how much we have at stake. Thank you.
Any other councilors? Seeing none, Councilor Rosen, would you like a roll call vote on all these motions? Okay, roll call vote.
Councilors Turco,
Yes.
Rozignol,
No.
Welton,
Yes.
Melville,
Yes.
Gamache,
Yes.
McGinn,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-1.
Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, there were a number of additional opinions, kind of 30,000-foot level opinions expressed, much like we just heard from several councilors, myself included, tending to agree with comments that we just heard a moment ago from the Ward 6 councilor, that we have made some tremendous progress here, and that that the effective impact on Peabody, given what Peabody has done for housing production over the past many decades, should be pretty minimal. And I think I shared that opinion in subcommittee, and therefore I'm sharing it in this report. There was a motion made by Councilor Melville to advance a favorable recommendation to the full council on the proposal option 4 as modified, and so I now bring that recommendation to the full council for a vote.
Councilor, to clarify, and I guess maybe through to the clerk, would we take a vote as a council? That would be accepting the document, and we're setting up a public hearing, right?
Yeah, I guess, Madam President, we can leave that as part of the report that the committee made a favorable recommendation. I don't actually think, upon further consideration, that we actually need to vote on that now, because that would, again, that recommendation would be something to be taken into consideration at the public hearing. So I think.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Megan, continue with your other reports.
So there was an additional motion made to send the proposal option 4 as modified to the planning board for action. I now bring that to consideration for the full council.
Councilors, you heard the motion to refer this to planning. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilors Turco,
Yes.
Rozignol,
No.
Welton,
Yes.
Melville,
Yes.
Gamache,
Yes.
McGinn,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-1.
Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Madam President. There was also a motion made by Councilor Gamache to draft and advertise for a city council public hearing on this matter, and I now bring that for consideration of the full council.
Councilors, you heard the motion to have a public hearing on the matter. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Just on the motion, it is to have a public hearing, but it's to also draft and advertise.
You draft and advertise the ordinance. You're combining the motions.
And schedule the public hearing.
Councilors, the motion is to draft and advertise the ordinance and schedule a public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilors Turco.
Yes.
Rozignol.
No.
Welton.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-1.
Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Madam President. Lastly, because this is considered under 40A, Section 5, which has undergone some changes in recent years with respect to what the voting threshold is for housing proposals. There was a motion made to request an opinion from the city solicitor on the city council vote threshold for this matter, and further that opinion be provided in advance of the city council public hearing. So I now bring that same motion for consideration of the full council.
Councilors, you heard the motion to request an opinion from the city solicitor on the vote threshold. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Madam President. That completes the report of committee.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Moving on to Finance Committee, Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Madam President. The Finance Committee met earlier this evening. Present for the committee were Councilors Gamache and Turco. Sitting in for Councilor Gould was Councilor Rozignol, and sitting in for Councilor Manning Martin was Councilor Higgins, myself as chair. We had one item on the agenda, transfer of funds, CPC Bikeway Mass Trails match in an amount of $160,000. That was presented to us by Director of Finance, Mr. Gingras. Also present to address any questions that the committee might have had was from the Planning Department, Mr. Brendan Callahan. This was a CPC application, which essentially was a 20% match for a Mass Trails grant. So the $160,000 was able to leverage a $500,000 grant from Mass Trails. With that as an explanation, there was a motion made by Councilor Turco as follows: move to approve transfer from account number 270-018-11-58562, CPC Open Space, in an amount of $160,000 to account number 270-1811-58562, 2025-000350, CPC Bikeway Mass Trails match in an amount of $160,000. Madam President, that passed the Finance Committee unanimously. I now bring it for consideration of the full council. So moved.
Councilors, you heard the motion by Councilor McGinn. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilors Turco.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Madam President. That completes the report of committee.
Thank you. Moving on to motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Madam President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 7B.
Councilors, you heard the motion to receive item 7B. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Turco.
Thank you. Just for clarity, 7B was opposition to our apprenticeship ordinance. We had already reviewed the case in question in that, so I'm not going to refer that to legal. And we already received a legal opinion from the city solicitor on the ordinance, which concurred that it was legal. There was an email that went out to us that was not in this packet, that'll be in the next packet, which was the opposing legal opinion from an actual attorney, Attorney James Shaw, from Siegel Rotman, and he states that the opinion stated in this letter is outdated and incorrect. So with that, we'll wait to receive that. For everybody's knowledge, Jeff Saliba from Local 6 was here a little bit earlier, and he did let me know that the economic development bill had passed the legislature tonight, which allows for project labor agreements in future city construction. So ultimately, the apprenticeship ordinance wouldn't be needed anyway, because we could go about it through a PLA. But I digress. There's a motion to receive.
Anything else, Councilor Turco?
No further motions.
Thank you. Councilor Rozignol.
Thank you, Madam President. Under suspension of the rules, motion to receive item 7A and send to Industrial Community, ICD.
Councilors, you heard the motion to refer 7A to ICD. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Rozignol.
No further motions. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion for the Department of Public Services to look into patching a sidewalk issue at 11 Quail Road. So moved.
Councilors, you heard the motion from Councilor Welton. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Madam President. No further motions this evening.
Thank you. Councilor Melville.
No motions this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Gamache.
Yes, at this time, under suspension of rules, I'd like to receive item 8A. So move.
Councilors, you heard the motion to receive item 8A. Would you like to set up a public
And at this
hearing?
time, not set up any date for the hearing? Just to receive it.
Okay. Councilors, the motion is to receive 8A. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Gamache.
Yes, at this time, I'm going to make a motion to ask the Human Resources Director and the Finance Director to give us an update on where the city is with the budget concerning TBAs that was suggested in the budget for 2025. There was multiple to be, allotted. I would like to see where we're at with those. We're almost halfway through the year, and I want to see if some of those positions have been filled.
Councilors, you heard the motion from Councilor Gamache. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor
No further
Gamache.
motions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor McGinn.
No motions. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilor Daigle.
Thank you, Madam President. No motions. I just want to express my empathy and sympathy for everyone that was affected by the fire on Main Street, and also my gratitude for the fire department who was working around the clock. On my way here, they just extinguished a brush fire at Emerson Park. It's nonstop, and the aid to other cities and towns. So thank you for everyone, police and fire, for your service. That's it. No motions.
Thank you. Councilor Higgins.
Yes, I'd like to, thank you, Madam President. I'd like to receive and accept a banner request, item 9A. I'd like to receive the application and approve.
Councilors, you heard the motion under suspension of the rules to receive and approve item 9A. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Higgins.
I believe we need to, I'd like to make a motion to accept item 7D.
Yes, we still need to do that. Councilors, the motion is to receive item 7D. This is an adopt a cemetery program. Any councilors have any suggestions on what committee to put this in for discussion? Public services, maybe? Yeah.
So I'd add to the motion to refer to public services.
Thank you. You've heard the amended motion to refer 7D to Public Services Committee. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote.
Just wanted to also add my thanks and gratitude to some of the residents in Ward 6, particularly on Russell Street, that were lent their time to receive and accept donations and deliver those donations to the Knights of Columbus and to the City Department of Health. It was a wonderful gesture and greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Higgins. Councilor Turco.
Thank you. I just, when you mentioned public services, I have an item in Public Services for Will Paulitz to come back before us about the Granite Road solutions to that issue there. So do we have time? It was supposed to take place in November, but obviously I missed that boat. Do we have time in a December meeting to have Will come back for that and schedule the Adopt a Cemetery presentation from the Cemetery Commission? I'll talk to you offline. And
I'd like that legal too, but.
okay.
Good.
Thank you, Madam President.
Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Madam President. Thanks for coming back to me. Apologize for the inconvenience. I'd like to amend my my motion to just be thank you to DPS. They fixed that hole at 11 Quail Road today. Councilor Turco just brought to my attention, and thank you to Brian Grant for taking care of that tree. I'm glad that the good Ward 1 residents have been taken care of, so no need for them to have 2 work orders for that. So moved.
We will withdraw the motion. All right, is there anything else, councilors? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.